What I'm about to tell you is the real story that I never shared publicly about how I went from being stuck in a self-sabotage loop, blowing accounts daily and weekly, to building the operator system that completely changed my life. And I'm going to give you the exact framework I used so that you can change yours as well. So let's start at the beginning. I didn't grow up dreaming that I would become a trader. I just knew two things. One, I was going to become extremely successful no matter what it took, and that I was different in some way. I was always very good at math, so I figured, I saw trading online one day on my feed on TikTok, and I'm like, I just graduated high school. I'm not going to college. I knew that I need something that is going to shortcut my path to success, right? So I'm like, wow, this is like the best thing ever. So of course, as you would think, I started trading. And before this, growing up, I was always making money somehow. I was selling vapes and shit when I was in high school, and I always had money coming in one way or another. I never cared about school. I never cared about working a normal job. I never cared about going the traditional route of anything. And I came into trading thinking, I'm smart, this is going to be no problem. People say it takes a few years. I'll do it in 6 months max. Anything over 6 months, and I'm an idiot. That's what I told myself when I began trading, is that if I don't do this in 6 months, I am not who I originally thought, because I thought at the time, there's absolutely no way that this can take me more than that. And I thought that trading was going to be the thing to give me freedom, but it did not give me freedom. It exposed every weakness that I had that I never knew about or was hiding. I realized I was undisciplined. I'm not actually a complete genius who can do anything, that I don't have structure in my life, a ton of ridiculous things, and I couldn't even see it back then. I didn't realize any of this until the last year and a half, honestly. I was just completely deluded in the fact that I didn't know enough yet. I still needed to become a better technical analyst, right? I didn't think it had anything to do for the first 6 to 12 months, no thought that it could possibly be anything other than technical analysis. And I would have days where I felt like a genius. I'd be calling tops and bottoms in the market, thinking, wow, this is so easy. Why can't I make money? Surely it's because I just need to keep improving my strategy, right? But of course, as you know, that was not the issue. Then about a year and a half in, it got to a point where it was getting really bad, because I told myself originally, this will take 6 months, right? So it was just like going way past the expected deadline. So I would start really trying to shortcut the process. I'd be every dollar I could afford, funded account. And what would I do every time? I would say, okay, I'm gonna follow my rules. I'm gonna follow my plan this time. And then somehow I would find myself up at 1 a.m. trading Asia session and blowing my account, resetting, doing the same thing the next day. And this went on for longer than I would like to say. And I would wake up the next morning or even 10 minutes later and think, what the hell did I just do? What just happened? And it's not just that I was losing trades or losing money. It was that my entire self-worth, my entire identity, everything was completely connected to my trading results. So every time I blew account, it felt like a piece of me just came out and went into the market, and it was taken. And at one point during this process, I was so delusional, I moved halfway across the country thinking that I am going to be successful at trading. And this was when I had one payout at the time. I never saw consistency whatsoever. I just had the thought that I am going to do this no matter what. I didn't realize what the real issue was still. This was about a year and 3 months into trading, right? And I was doing everything they say online. I'm journaling, I'm reviewing my trades, I'm back testing, doing all the surface level shit that they say is going to fix your issues. And I still did not understand that the person behind the screen was the real issue. And then about a year and a few months into my journey, I did actually come to the realization, okay, I probably know enough at this point. There has to be some other reason that I'm failing. So I come to the conclusion that it is because my psychology, whatever that meant to me at the time, was not in the right place. So, I started trying to set rules in place. I started trying to be disciplined. I would say, I'm not gonna trade unless it's at this specific time in this specific zone. But like most of you, I was not able to follow that. And what I was doing was, I was routinely blowing accounts, not just like most of you guys where you'll have decent risk management and blowing once every couple weeks, I was blowing a new account every single day. Reset, blow, reset, blow. And this went on forever. And I would say, oh my gosh, I would be going to bed and I would think, I'm not going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to follow my plan. I'm going to follow my rules. And then I find myself trading at 1 a.m, blowing another account. And the fact that I told everyone I know that I am going to be successful at trading, or even saying that I almost was already, I'm getting there, I'm so close all the time, it just put extra external pressure on me. I was always just trying to force the outcome. I was forcing the market to work the way I wanted. And that's not the way it works. You need to be aligned, right? So now getting into what I did to actually fix this. It was not a new indicator. It was not a new strategy. It was not even a new realization, because I had a billion of those through every week also. I would have a new realization. Oh, it's this, that's the issue. No, it's that. No, it's that. And none of them were the realization that actually fixed the outcome. The one thing that fixed the outcome was simply understanding that I have to be the person who can trade proficiently. This means not trading out of fear, not trading out of greed, not trading out of any of these negative aspects that are going to fuck up your results. You have to be aligned with the identity of the person who is the profitable trader, not the person who's trying to become one. And that's when it clicked entirely. I was just an idiot kid trying to prove something, and that a strategy is not going to fix that for me, obviously. So this was my first real consistent profitable month where I started meditating twice a day. I enjoyed the process. That is the main number one thing that I did differently that changed everything. Is I stopped looking at that vision in the future, and I said, okay, it's going to happen, but not if I keep focusing this hard on it. I need to just let go of that, focus on where I'm at now, be happy with it, and get my mind clear, do the right thing every day, stop trading out of this broken identity, and then maybe trading will work out for me. And what do you think happened? So instead of trying to take better entries, better trades at this point, I completely rebuilt the entire framework behind myself, behind my trading. I put structure in place. I had a clear mind. I was not forcing outcomes. And this is when the true operator identity was born. I created it at this time when it was a realization in a way, but it's more of a serious discovery that strategy, all these, I won't swear here, but all these gurus online who are selling you a dream, they're showing you their lifestyle, they're showing you all their status that they get from trading. So if you truly want to become profitable and you are willing to do whatever it takes, this next section here is going to be exactly what I did personally. And this is the only thing that worked for me. And I tried everything. I'm not even joking. I tried everything. When I start something, I become morbidly obsessed. I've spent over 8,000 hours looking at charts, live trading, back testing, journaling, doing all the fucking surface level shit that doesn't work. And I've tried every aspect of it, learning new strategies. I know I don't want to sound cocky, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I am better. I will say right now, I'm the top 20 best discretionary traders in the world who are retail. I don't care if you think that's a lie. I believe it, okay? So here is exactly what I did to fix everything for me, and that I teach my students that are changing their lives already, and I'm gonna give you the full framework. So number one, identity reset. I stopped trading as the old kid version of myself, trying to prove something, trying to get rich and all the bullshit. And I built an alter ego, an alter persona that I trade as. Every single morning when I start trading, I'm not this me that I am right now. I am someone else. I am cold, calculated. I don't make mistakes. I follow my plan. I follow my rule. And there is ways that you can instantly switch into that version of yourself. And it's like you are a whole nother person for the time being. That is the operator state. That is the operator identity. And that is everything that I teach. That is the number one thing that is going to change the trajectory of your trading. If you learn how to actually implement this correctly, nothing will ever be the same. With that, I was treating trading like I was stepping into a new role. I wasn't just myself, who was at the time broke and unprofitable and needs to make money and all the things that I had to go through. That was out the window. It wasn't even in my mind. I was the new identity that I had built for trading specifically. So number 2, structure rebuild. If you don't have a structure behind your trading, you don't have a routine that you follow every day, your regular life is just shit and you're a jerk off. Let's just say that you wake up at 9:25, you look at the chart, you think, okay, it's going to do this, and then you don't follow your rules after trading. It's 11:30 now, you get on TikTok, scroll for a few hours, maybe go eat a shit lunch. You never been to a gym in your life, you sit on your phone all day just doing nothing, and then you jerk off, go to bed, wake up, same thing. Why do you deserve to be profitable? Why do you even consider the fact that you could be profitable when there is 99% of traders fail? Why would you be a profitable trader? So what I did is one wake up time, one morning ritual, one morning routine, one breakfast every single morning, exact same, nothing changes about that. One pre-trading look over, whatever. Everything I did was the exact same. One after trading review, one weekly trading review. I would do everything. I still do everything as structured as possible. I don't change anything, and I never miss a day. I never miss an hour. I never miss a single session. I never miss any of this. And that is what one of the biggest things that I would point my success with trading towards is structure. Other than identity, this would be number 2. Number 3, I stopped trading candles. I stopped trading setups and strategies, although I do recommend a strategy. But however, I trade narrative. I trade the actual behavior of the market, the behavior behind the noise, behind the candles. I'm not going to explain in depth because that would take more than this entire video's length. But basically what I do is I get to the bottom of exactly what the market's intention is at the moment, what previously happened for the intention to be this way on all time frames simultaneously, and come to the bottom of the story. The chart always has a story. Why does this have to happen? And I'm not just saying that I only use one chart either. You can take what you want from that. But trading is a lot more important than looking at one chart and knowing what to do. You can consistently profit, but not as much as I do. You need to be aware of the market as a whole. You need to understand what every market is doing. Not every, but 90% of markets, you need to know where they're at, what's happening in the world. You need to know where the weekly draw is, where the daily objective is, what's happening on the 4-hour, what's happening on the lower time frames. Is today meant to go higher first or lower first? Which liquidity obligation is the first one that should be taken in this instance? And after that, the market stopped feeling so random, and it basically became a script that I play in my mind and understand exactly what will happen on any given day. Now going into number 4, A+ setup. One A+ setup, one singular one. So this means having exact criteria that is mandatory before you ever take a trade. If this is not shown, there is no trade. I used to have 10 ideas. I would be just completely discretionary, only just trading price action fully. But no, you can't handle yourself that way, especially for people like me where you're struggling with psychology. Discretionary trading is your worst enemy. You need one set of criteria that you follow no matter what. You don't deviate from the plan. So for me, in the smallest details, it's going AMD, specific standard deviation that I use, SMT, overall market structure pointing in the same direction, overall macro bias in the same direction, and I add a few other concepts, and then simply just the intuition I have from spending 8,000 hours on the chart, and then a couple other things. If it wasn't that, I wouldn't touch it, and this stopped over 80% of the shit trades that I was taking. And going into number 5, rule clean trades and rule clean days. Instead of asking myself, does this feel good? Does this make me feel all right? I would say, did I follow everything that I said? Before, after, during, every trade, every session, every whatever I say, was today rule clean? Did I follow all the intentions that I had set for myself during this session or trade? And if the answer is no, there needs to be consequences. Your mind, you have a reward system, right? If you falsely reward yourself for making mistakes, you're never going to improve, because that was one of my biggest issues, actually, where I would pretty much make the same mistakes over and over and over and never learn from them, and I keep repeating them, stuck in the same sabotage loop cycle, and nothing ever changed for me. And it was because I didn't understand how your brain works, how my mind works, and that you need to actually implement things into the process to change things. So if any of it was off, no trade, no discussion, no negotiation. And I trained myself to be more proud and happy if I do that rather than making money. That is how my mind works now. If I follow my rules, if I follow my plan, I'm way more happy and proud of myself than if I make some money that day, because that doesn't mean you're a good trader. That just means you got lucky once, got a lucky break. So for number 6 is psychological reset rituals, okay? This means, I'll tell you exactly my pre-trade protocol. This is somewhat in depth, okay? I wake up, stretch a little bit, I don't check my phone for at least 20-30 minutes. I get some water with electrolytes, I splash some cold water on my face. I go to the gym, I don't work out, but I go in the steam room for about 10 minutes, do some more stretching, do some breathing exercises, box breathing specifically, and then I get in the cold plunge, 2 to 3 minutes. In the cold plunge, I am doing a breathing exercise. I'm completely calm. That is actually my most meditative state that I have, is in the cold plunge when I am doing that. I come home, I eat a really healthy, good breakfast, 2 eggs, some orange juice, some other stuff sometimes if I'm still hungry. And then before actually trading, I do the exact same thing every day. I look over my entire rule set. I say, this is what I'm going to do today. And then I have my actual identity ritual right before trading. This includes visualization, something that I call the Z-box method, which I'm not going to go in depth about. However, that is life-changing. And I stopped asking myself, am I in the mood to trade? Am I in the mood to follow my rules? I ask, am I in the state to be in the identity of the trader who is going to follow their rules today? And if the answer is no to that, I simply de-risk entirely, or I just don't trade that day. And none of this is an overnight fix. This is things that you need to consistently work on. You can't stop doing it. I actually did have a little break back in September where I was seeing success and I was like, okay, this is kind of getting boring. I'm probably fine now. And I stopped doing all the stuff that got me to the position I was in, and I fell off hard. In September, I lost a lot, okay? And that's when I really realized this is an ongoing process. This isn't a one and done. This is something you need to do every day, every week. You can't lose consistency with the thing that brought you to where you are. However, eventually over time, the impulses stopped hitting so hard. I was emotionally stable during trading. There was not much chaos in my trading. It started feeling boring. It started feeling predictable. It started feeling how trading is supposed to feel, and it's not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to give you dopamine. It's not supposed to be entertaining or enjoyable. It's simply you do it because you are supposed to. It's your job. That's why you trade. You don't trade to get dopamine hits. You don't trade to, be a fucking nimwit. You trade to follow your rules and make money. But obviously the goal is to make money, and you're not going to do that by getting dopamine hits from the market and that as your main goal, right? So I started, as time was going on, I started seeing glimpses of how my trading is actually going to look, and that just kept pushing me harder and harder every single time, because I was like, wow, it can really be this way. It can actually feel like this. Like, that's fucking awesome, man. I never expected that at the time, and it stopped feeling like survival mode was on constantly, and it started feeling like I can actually do this. So once I rebuilt the identity in my system, that is the only time throughout my entire 3.5 years of trading that I saw consistent success. I didn't feel emotional in trading, like I said. I didn't feel any of these things that I once did. I didn't overtrade. I didn't want to revenge trade. I wasn't impulsive to make the wrong decisions anymore. It felt calm, collected, calculated. I felt like I could actually trade proficiently without tilting, without spiraling. Like, that was normal to me for such a long time. It was really miraculous that I was able to not feel that way at all anymore. I couldn't believe it at first. Like, I really thought it was crazy. And this allowed me to get 21 green days in a row, pretty much making over $50,000. It allowed me to make so many of my students profitable that I have had so far, and it allowed me to see a lot of things that I did not really expect. Like, the system and identity aspect of everything is the only thing that changed my life, and not even just for trading, but for so much more than you could imagine. And like trader friends that I had online, they'd start asking me, dude, like, because they knew how big of a shitter I was. They were like, dude, how did you go from blowing accounts, 10 accounts a day, to actually, getting 21 green days in a row without, or just not blowing an account for months on end? Like, how are you doing this now? And I would explain parts of what I'm doing and how I made the results and how I changed. And I even took on some of my friends as students at the time, about 6 months ago up until now. And I won't say because of course you have to do all the work. It doesn't matter what I tell you. I can tell two people the same thing and one is still going to be a shitter. This has nothing to do with me, but I gave them the information needed, and some of my students had life-changing results just as I did, simply from rebuilding their structure, re-implementing their identity, and putting the right systems in place. So if you're watching this and you feel like you're in that loop right now of overtrading, revenge trading, making all of these stupid mistakes that are going to cost you profitability, hold you back from getting to the place where you want, and you just either know what to do and can't do it, or that you don't even know what the problem is yet, I understand. I was in this same exact position for years, man, and it was the worst time of my life. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Although it did turn me into the man I am today, I still wouldn't want anyone else to go through that unless they also got this results. Point being is, you don't need to work on your strategy. You don't need more knowledge. You don't need better technicals. You need the operator identity. I also forgot to mention, one of the worst things that I had to experience is knowing the whole time, I know I'm smart enough to do this. I know I have the skills. I know that I can do this, yet every day I would come in and I would do the same mistakes. I would just gamble everything away. I would make the same exact mistake every day, and I just could not understand what the solution was. And it's not that I was stupid. It's not that I didn't know enough. It's not that I was broken or I wasn't cut out for trading. It was simply the operator identity. So here's what I'm doing. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to break down every part of this system, long-form YouTube videos just like this one, but it will be on individual aspects of what I actually did to achieve this. So for example, rebuilding your identity, implementing structure, implementing routines, building your pre-trading protocol and how to go about it, how to actually consistently keep this going for extended periods of time, and overall just how you can finally become a consistently profitable trader and stop searching the freaking internet for more strategies and technical advice that hasn't taken you anywhere and never will. This channel, this brand, everything I'm building right now is for people who are done gambling. It's for people who are so sick of what they've become, what is happening with their trading, that they just refuse to let it happen anymore, and they don't know who to go to because all these shit trading gurus online don't talk about anything like this. They only sell you dreams and strategies and hope. I want to do the opposite. I want to be the opposite in this industry that actually changes lives. So if that feels like you, where you simply want to break out of the cycle, you want to break out of this sabotage loop that you've been in of all of these brutal mistakes, and you're at the point right now where you need help to go deeper, I built something called the Foundation. This is going to be everything that I know about becoming consistent in trading without technical advice. I do include all of my technical advice, but it is mainly focused on rebuilding your identity, having the right stuff in place, tons of guides on pre-trading protocol, how to actually think about the market to become successful, and it includes exactly how I set up my actual trading structure. So how are you going to trade? What rule set do you need? How should you be risking? Prop firm scaling advice to actually do it the correct way. Everything that you would ever need to become consistent. If you want access to that, you'll know where to find it. Check the links or just DM me on Instagram and I'll get you there. However, this video is just the start. So this is my story from being an impulsive gambler, blowing accounts, not being sure if I would ever make it, feeling completely powerless with myself, with my own trading, being completely broken for years on end, and I just was lost for the longest time, to building the operator identity, completely changing my life, rebuilding my entire destiny simply because of one thing that I preach, the only thing that I would advise anyone to do, and that is what this is all about. That is what I'm dedicating this entire channel, this entire brand. Zeros is entirely dedicated to rebuilding you, rebuilding your identity, rebuilding your structure, rebuilding your trading. And this is the Zeros journey. Thank you guys all for watching this. If you are here this early, you're in for a long ride. We are just beginning. This is dedicated to creating operators, not gamblers. I'll see you in the next one.